All right, so we're gonna make the bending form for the arched part of the jamb. I've got the lamination strips all right here. You can see that I ripped them all down on the table saw, and we're just gonna slather those up with glue, and then we will bend them around this form. So what's gonna happen here is, this is just a bunch of scrap that I've had from my pile that I'm tired of tripping over anyway. It's almost all MDF and or particle board, I mean. And so I'm just gonna put all these together and make one solid block. Then we'll cut this out, the bandsaw, and to match the arch on the door over there. And then these will simply be stacked up there. They'll have glue on each one, and then we'll bend that by means of we'll have clamps that come across here, and we'll start at one end and clamp it, and we'll just work our way across with clamps. I'll either cut some little notches in here to give me the angle that I need, or I'll attach something to grab the clamps, that the clamps can grab, to account for the angle of that it will take. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get these glued up. I'm not gonna glue the whole things. I'm just gonna run some glue around the perimeter of it, and then probably use some staples or something to kind of hold it all together. And yeah, there's no sense wasting a ton of glue on this by gluing putting full coat on every layer. So we'll just kind of glue them up, and like I said, I'll just run a bead around like that, and then we'll use some nails or staples to hold them all together, and that'll be good. Just using this as kind of a guide where I want to put the glue. Never built a form like this before, but I don't see any reason why this wouldn't work. Probably should shoot some nails in there. Yeah, so I'll let that dry overnight, and then we'll use the top of the door to make we'll prop everything up here on the bench, and lay the door on it so I get an exact duplicate of that arch, so that our bending form will match the arch accurately. And then we'll cut that out on the bandsaw. Once we get it laid out, we'll cut it on the bandsaw, then we'll flip it up on edge and use a belt sander to get it nice and smooth and get it really fine tuned to that arch. And then once that's done, let's see here. Let's see if I can hold you up here to show you. So then the problem will be, just imagine that the door that we're trying to clamp on this arch, that this has been cut, and the clamps, it'll be they might grab, but they may not. And you have a couple of alternatives. Either I put some little wedges on the laminations, or I just saw this the other day where a guy was bending some and he cut little notches into the backside of it, so that his clamp had a 90-degree face to this. I thought that was a pretty good idea, and I could just do that with a circular saw real quick. They don't have to be anything pretty, and so just cut a little notch out like that at an angle, and probably only have to have a couple. Then this one will be a straight one, this one will be a slight angle, this one will be a little bit more of an angle, and see if I can pull it together that way. And I'll probably use my parallel clamps. I don't know if they'll reach quite far enough. We might have to clamp from both sides too, so this will get a little complicated. So I'll have to, once again, one of my favorite terms is work on my clamping strategy and figure out how we're going to do that. So that'll be the next step tomorrow. Yeah, so just kind of laid this out a little bit. It'll be just like this. I'll mark that on there. Let's draw a good heavy pencil line. We'll bandsaw just up to the line, or as close as we can, and then, like I say, then we'll use a bandsaw, or a bandsaw. We'll use the belt sander to smooth the form out, and that'll give us a nice curved form, and then we'll bend these laminations around that. And they're plenty long, so we'll have plenty to trim off. They're too wide as well, so when we're done, I can run them across the joiner on one side to flatten it, and then run them across the table saw to make the other side parallel. And yeah, and then all I'll have to figure out is how I'm going to connect the ends of the arch to the side jambs. I am not sure how I'm going to go about that yet. Might be just as simple as just some biscuits. May not need to be anything more serious than that. So yeah, so that's how this is going to work, I hope. I did mistake. I mentioned earlier I had never made a bending form like this before, but that's not true. When I was in high school, many years ago, my best friend and I were both avid woodworkers, and I grew up in a very small town in Montana. And we decided, we were very avid woodworkers but water skiers. And we decided we each wanted to make a solemn water ski. So we made, I forgot all about this. We made the form, a bending form for the water skis. It was a big lamination of plywood as well, obviously about 5.5 feet long, 6 feet long, something like that. We laminated those all up, and then we bandsawed it out, and we worked very diligently using we were using a ski, whatever the hottest ski at that time was. This was in like 1978, 1977, 1978. And we used that, a ski for a form. So we were ripping off, I forget who, Connell or somebody, and made that form. And then we had big plates on big steel plates on the bottom of it, and with bolts coming up, and and then plates on the top. And then we took fire hose. I'm trying to remember this correctly. We used fire hose and we clamped it off at both ends and put an air chuck in the end of it, and used that to bend it down, as I recall. Yeah, I'm trying to remember for sure how we did that. That was a long time ago. Anyway, they came out really well. There was a Montana Industrial Arts competition, and we took those skis there, and we took first and second place, and in the woodworking laminating category, or whatever category it was. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I had that ski for a long time, and then I loaned it to a buddy, and he was going skiing, and I just never gave it any more thought, and he eventually moved away and took his boat and my ski, and so I never saw it again. I'm sure it was a goner by now, but anyway, so I did build a bending form one time, but that was a long time ago. So anyway, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. Okay, so we're all set here. So I got the door laid out on it so we can trace out the arch and get it right. So we'll just make quick work of that here. Okay. And that is all there is to that. Okay, so we got it roughed out. I don't know if you can see very well, but I've got a pencil line. That's what we got to sand down to. But it's roughed out, relatively smooth, a few bumps in it, no big deal. So we'll clamp it up in the vise now and start sanding those with a belt sander, see if we can get that smoothed out. Stuff's pretty dusty, so I'll put on a particle mask here. All right. Oh yeah, smoothing right out. Yeah, just a little bump right there. Right down to our line. Yeah, I think we about got it. I might get a little bump right there. Yeah. Okay. I think we're in pretty good shape there. So, I guess it's time to get it up there and figure out how we're going to attach the clamps. Okay. So this is where I've laid out some lines that are somewhat perpendicular to the curved portion. So this is where our clamps will go. I hope that this will be enough. Looks like 7 of them across there. I think it will be. So what I got to do, because those clamps will just slip on here, so what I got to do is just cut a notch that's kind of parallel to that edge, and I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm not gonna do anything fancy, and then I'll probably just come in here with the with a circular saw and just make a couple of cuts and then knock those pieces out. I think that one will probably be all right. That one's straight on, that'll be okay. This one probably be okay. This one is gonna have to be curved up here, and so is this one. I'm gonna do those. I might as well do this one too. At least give it a little, just so it'll grip and so they won't slip. So yeah, you'll see I'll come in and we'll just make a cut down this line and this line and this line, so on and so forth. I don't think my saw will tilt enough. I'm not sure how I'll get that out of there, but we'll figure it out. We might have to just make multiple cuts and then just use a chisel to knock the pieces out. So we'll see what we get here. Right, and then we'll just take a chisel and knock all this stuff out of there, and yeah, that'll give us a fairly decent surface to clamp on. All right, so there is our clamp setup. We've got 7 clamps. And the only thing I have concerns with is this. Let's see if I can get you down here. This area here, and I won't really know until I start to glue up whether the pressure from this clamp is going to carry all the way down. It may or may not. I have lots of clamps, so if necessary I can add them coming up from the other side as well. So and I may just do that to be sure. So yeah, so I guess that's kind of it. I think we're ready to just start getting set up for glue up. I'm just going to use regular Type Bond 3 glue. The open time isn't that great, but I only have, let's see, 2 pieces to coat completely, so hopefully it will be enough time to get them all glued up, get them on there, and get them clamped up. So we'll see here. I'll get ready to go and bring you back. All right, here we go. So I got some glue in a bowl here, and I'm gonna lather up all 3 of these and put them up against there. I've got the clamps all ready to go, and cross your fingers. We'll see how this goes. you guys see. All right, now it's ready to start the clamping process. Start with one in the center. Let's see, let's pull this. Get this somewhat centered up. My laminations are plenty long, so all right, clamp number one. Here's where we start to pull it in. Uh-oh. Let's see. I ran out of reach on that one, so I'm gonna have to do something different here. Pull one of these in just as close as I can by hand, just enough to hold it. Okay, there we go. Now we'll get a clamp on this one. Okay. This one, see if I've got enough travel on this clamp to pull this last one in. Oh yeah. Whew, barely though. Okay. I gotta go to some longer clamps. Getting there. Ooh, barely gonna make it. Oh boy, barely made that one. All right, now I'm gonna come back and add clamps on this side too. I hope you're able to see all of this. Okay, so now I'm gonna put clamps along this side too. So start with these shorties right here. Actually gotta move this one out a little bit so I can get some space in between the handles so I can actually tighten them. There. I'll back these off a little bit. All right. Hopefully that's enough. Almost got it. 14 clamps. All right, a couple more clamps off the rack. Okay, there you go. Check that out. 14 clamps, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 14 clamps on there. It bent pretty good. I got one gap down here, but a lot of this is going to get trimmed off. So hopefully we'll get rid of that when that happens. But the rest of it looks pretty good. And yeah, a little bit hard to crank down on these, but I think I got them all pretty tight. So that is that. Boy, if your friends or your wife or somebody says, hey, you got enough, think you got enough clamps? Show them this video. Because sometimes you use a bunch. I still have a whole bunch left of bar clamps, and I got about half a dozen more of these K-body clamps back there as well. So you can never, in the words of my mentor and my hero, Norm Abram, you can never have enough clamps. So we'll leave this and see what happens tomorrow. Keep your fingers crossed. All right, well, it's a couple of days later. I went ahead and let this stay in the glue blocks for like 48 hours, I guess it's been. And I think I'm ready to take it off. You might notice that I changed up a few of the clamps. I went to bar clamps because I was just I just was having trouble pulling it up. These pulled it up really nicely. So anyway, we're just going to start to take it apart. And what I'm worried about is how much it might spring back trying to go flat. I don't think it will too much because of the glue. It's not like a bent wood lamination where you heat it up and bend it. Those typically will have a fair amount of spring back. A glued one doesn't as much because those layers are stuck together, and in order for it to spring back, they kind of need to almost slip a little bit on each other. But we'll just see. So we're just gonna take this apart. One thing I did forget, I realized later, I don't think it'll be much of a problem, was I should have put some wax paper or saran wrap or something between the form and the bending, because if any glue squeezed out through a knot hole or anything, it's going to be stuck to that form. So we'll just see what happens here. So here we go. All right, this will be the final determination here as we start to take these off. All right, I don't know if you can see. Let's see if we can get you in close here to see if that lets go from that form or not. No, there's a little pop. Yeah, it did spring back a little. I don't think it'll be too bad though. I think we'll be able to pull it in. Let's see what happens over here on this other side. Kind of the same thing. Now, did it stick? Yeah, it's a little stuck. I'm afraid of that. Oh, there we go. Well, not bad. Not bad. You can see, kind of held its form. Now we'll just kind of hold it up to the door for the heck of it, just to see how bad this is, how bad or good this is. Well, not too bad. I think, oh man, I hope we'll be able to pull that down to match. Let's see. Oh no, look at that. That's a pretty doggone good fit. Actually, it did spring. It's about a 1/2 inch altogether here, I think. But I think we can hopefully pull that down and be okay. But overall, let's show you this thing. Overall, I don't think it's too bad. This will be the side that will be seen. So I picked the best piece of wood for that. And did get a little glue squeeze out through a knot. This will be the side that goes up against the wall. It's got a pretty good crack right there, but that's okay. We'll have a gap anyway, so that shouldn't interfere with anything. And it came out. Let's show you the edge. My form wasn't quite, neither is the top of my door, isn't quite as curved. The curve isn't quite as fair or smooth as I would like it to be, but it'll be fine, because once again, you know, we'll have casing that goes across here as well. So yeah, overall, I'm not too displeased with that. Actually, got a little gap here that didn't glue for some reason. I don't know if I missed it when I was gluing it up, but I think I made it plenty long, so I'll be trimming quite a bit off. So yeah, I think we're okay. I think this is going to work. So we'll move on now to we'll clean this up. I think what we're going to do is run it across the joiner on one side, just to smooth that out. And then once we get that side nice and straight, then we can put that against the table saw fence and feed it through the table saw and trim the other side and get it nice and trimmed. Then we'll cut the ends off to the length that we need, and then figure out how to make this attachment on this end to that door jamb and to the vertical jamb pieces. I am not sure how I'm going to make that connection, so we'll work on that. But yeah, I think we're okay. I think it's going to be good. so there's the full door template. So what this is the opening that I need to fill. So these are the overall dimensions of the rough opening that has to be filled. And so I'm gonna lay the door on here, and obviously everything, the door jamb, the slab, the other door jamb on the other side, all have to fit within these lines and within this height. So we'll just kind of lay it out on here, see where we're at, get a feel for things. When I roughly sketched this up, I allowed for like a 1/4 of an inch on each side for shimming, to give me plenty of room to maneuver it in the opening and to shim it. And then I had like a 1/4 of an inch, then I allowed the 3/4 inch for the jamb, then just a little bit of, like an 1/8 of an inch for the slab, to the actual door slab to fit inside of the jamb, and the same on the other side. And I kind of did the same thing from the top to the bottom. And so that's where we need to end up. I hope that I'm close on this. We'll see. Okay, just to prove that this is a legitimate woodworking issue and that I'm not a professional by any means, I made a mistake. My measurements are off slightly. As I have this laid out on here, as I said, this template is actual opening size inside these lines, these Sharpie lines here. And it was too big. And I knew I had done my math. I had allowed a 1/4 inch gap between the existing wall and the jamb, which would go right here. So I wanted a 1/4 inch gap right here, so I have room to shim it, to plumb, and all of that. I allowed a little bit of clearance here for door closure, and the same over there. The problem is, when I did all the math, and here you can see all my hen scratching, my math, but here's the width measurement. 31 5/8 is the rough opening. I allowed a 1/4 of an inch gap. I don't know if you can see this, 1/4 of an inch gap for the shims and what have you to go in. 3/4 of an inch for the jamb, and that left me at 30 5/8, and then another 1/4 of an inch just for good measure, because you can always shim more on the outside. So another 1/4 of an inch gap, that would allow a little bit for any hinge interference or anything like that. And that gave me a slab width of 30 3/8. Okay, so that's what I built. This slab is 30 3/8 exactly. The problem is I needed these measurements on both sides. So, yeah, real world issues here. I am not building a new door, so we're just going to trim this door slab. Let's see, the total that I left off was 1 1/4 inches. So what's half of 1 1/4 inches? 5/8. So I got to take 5/8 off each side of this door to make this work. So that's that is what we will do. There's just nothing, I just don't have any other answers. Yeah, so yeah, that's exactly what happened. I neglected to subtract it for both sides, and so that's what we got to do. The only other alternative would have been, this opening is kind of stuccoed. We could probably make a mess and trim all that stucco off and all of that, but we don't want to do that. I'll just trim this off 5/8 of an inch off each of these styles, isn't going to be any big deal. Once again, it's an interior door, so that'll be fine. So that's what we're going to do. We'll take everything down, we'll run that thing across the table saw, and trim 5/8 off each side, and we should be good to go. So there you go. Like I said, these are real world this is a real world shop. I make stupid mistakes, stupid math mistakes, and this is what you get. So we'll get it corrected. Like the old saying goes, the true mark of a craftsman is making your mistakes invisible, or something along those lines. And that's what we'll do here. Nobody will ever know except you and I, and however many other people watch this video. So there we go. All right, now we got it where we need it. We've got room for the shims. We got room for the door opening and closing, hinges, that sort of thing. And then the jambs and the shims again. So we're good. And if you didn't know, and I'm swearing all of you to secrecy, if you didn't know, you'd never know that plan for those styles to be that width. So yeah, so I think we're okay. So now the next thing is to work on, once again, how we're going to join this to these. And the first thing is that our I should have made the pressing form. I should have allowed for spring back, because I just don't. This is not. It's not a perfect match. It's not bad. I don't know if you can see this or not. As I just kind of roughly set it up here, it's not bad. A little wider there than it is in the center here, and goes back a little wide there. But once again, there will be a doorstop molding here, so you won't see it from one side at least. I'm gonna try to figure out what I can do to build a little more curvature into that. I don't know. I thought about just running a series of curves along here, at least in this middle section, maybe on the top side, which won't be seen because it'll be covered by, it'll have door casing molding that'll cover it. So I could run some curves and allow that to pull in a little bit. That might be what I have to end up doing. But it's not horrible, but it's off by, oh yeah, I don't know. It's off by 1/8 of an inch at least on both sides. And I don't know, I might be able to just force it, and then once we put it in the opening, we can force it up in there. I'm not sure. So that's what we got to work on. But at least we got everything. We're good now. So I gotta give some thought to that, figure out what I'm going to do there. I tried putting a clamp on it, and I can pull it up into more of a bow and pull those ends in. So I think maybe with just a little bit of relief cutting right here, just a few saw curves, that it might soften that up enough to be able to do that. So we'll see here. I'll ponder this and then come back to you. Okay, I put a clamp across this and pulled it in, and now I've got a pretty consistent gap across there. So just a matter of what I can do to get that to not spring. And I would think it would be, I don't know, as I said, my first thought is to cut a few curves, say across 6 inches or so right here, so there's not so much tension on it, to where when I attach it to these, that it might stay in place, or enough for us to get it into the opening and make it stay there possibly. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but at least it pulls up without any problem. So our fit's pretty good. I've been pondering this whole arch situation, and I have decided that I'm going to try to make another one. I still have the form here that we used for the first one, and I'm just gonna, I took it over to the bandsaw, and I just, on the ends, took another 5/16, 3/8 of an inch off, just tapering from here down to the end, to make it pull past a little bit further to offset that spring back that we're experiencing with this one, that's stopping us from being able to put that together. So I may still end up using that one, I don't know, but I have enough material. I've got a nice board here that I can come up with enough pieces to cut the strips out of. First I got to bandsaw, or I already bandsawed it. Now I got to take the belt sander to this and smooth it out. So we'll work on that and go from there. Okay, quick follow-up. Here's the second glue up. So like I said, I increased, or I actually shortened the radius, I guess it would be, and made this a little go beyond what we actually need to match the door. So when I take it off and we get a little spring back, should be a lot closer. I will also say I took more time to find better blanks to rip into the strips. I also took my time in ripping the strips and then planed them a little bit to really flatten them out. So overall, this really just should be a much better glue up and should work much better. I also have, I haven't counted them up, but I must have 21, 22 clamps on this thing now too. So once again, if your wife or anybody ever complains about the number of clamps you have in your shop, show them a picture of this porcupine, and sometime and you can say you can never have too many clamps. All right, well, we're gonna take the clamps off and see if this was worthwhile or if it was just an exercise in futility. We'll soon know. I've let it set. We let it set about 48 hours. Just make sure everything was good and solidly set, and yeah, we'll just see. Well, that's a good sign. I took those end clamps off and it didn't spring back much. Right there. We'll see what happens now. There we go. Okay. Excuse me, didn't get much spring back. Let's take it over and see what it looks like against the door real quick. Get you looking up here. Oh, much, much better. Look at that. Oh yeah, we're good. Well, I'm really glad we took the time to do that. Yeah, that is so much closer. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, we'll clean up the clamps and get everything laid back out on the template and see what things look like. Okay, there we go. Got it all lined out on here. Let me get you around so you can see. The gap is much better. It's actually pulled in a little bit. Before we were splayed out, it was springing out. Now I've actually got it's a little too, we're wider here than we are out here. But that's okay. I can adjust for that. So yeah, I think we're in really good shape here now. Once again, there will be a door stop that covers this on one side. The other side of the gap, the difference in the gap will be a bit visible, but we might be able to, when I do the actual installation, I might be able to flex that up in there a little bit too. I probably won't cut these side jambs to the exact length until I get it to the location to install it, because then I can leave these a little long and force that in, and it will push these ends up a little bit. I mean, I only need 1/8 of an inch, and I think we'll be good. So I think we're good. I've been looking at how I'm going to attach this arch to these sides, and I think the best way is to come down through here and into the side jambs with some nice long screws. So I've already cut these to the angle that I need. I took a scribe and scribed it and then cut them. So I think we're good shape there. So I think what we'll do is, like I say, we'll pilot hole and put probably 4 screws down through there, put some glue on the top of it, really screw that together good and make that attachment solid. Yeah, we're looking really good here. I think the next step is maybe go ahead and get these jambs all assembled. So I think I can take it back off the template now. I know that we're good and our measurements are right. It's going to fit in the opening. I'll have room to shim, so it'll slide right in. I got room at the top to shim. I'll have room on both sides, so it'll slide right in. We'll shim it tight. We'll get everything fitting properly, screw it into the wall, and this should work. Yeah, so we're getting close. I think we only got another day or so. Once again, after we get this all done and assembled, then I've got to build the casing that's going to go around here to cover this. It will bridge the gap and cover the opening. So the door casing itself, I've got a bunch of material over there. I think I'm just going to do it about 3/8 of an inch thick, and so I'll rip or plane some down, and this upper piece that'll be curved, I think I've got some wide enough boards I can actually just rip it out of one solid board. I was thinking I was gonna have to make sections and biscuit join them and then cut it, but I think I've got wide enough boards. I think I can just make a pass on the bandsaw and cut that. So we're good shape. We're cruising. Yeah, let me tell you, this second lamination came out so much better than the first one. It's really nice. The other one, I kind of rushed it and I rough cut things, and this one I chose the stock more carefully and really took care to saw it properly when I resawed it, and then hand planed it to get it nice and smooth so I wouldn't have any bumps or lumps in there. And this is beautiful. So yeah, we're in good shape. All right, so I've decided how to attach this. Obviously, we're putting some 2.5 inch long screws. I'm going to put 4 of them per side in there, straight down into this side jamb. I've got everything all, I attached some braces to hold everything at the proper width. And now I'm just going to lay out for some screws here. 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, that leaves me 4. So we'll go at 2 and let's see, we'll go somewhere in here. Just kind of roughly spacing them out there. 3.5 inch one. Okay. Drill a quick pilot hole and countersink at the same time. Hopefully you could see all that. Not much to see, drilling holes. Okay, some screws in. I haven't applied any glue yet because I've still got to cut these horns off on both sides. This is kind of a test fit and making sure that this was going to work. And then I think the next thing is going to be, I got to go get hinges. I don't have any hinges for this door yet. And a knob set. I haven't talked to the client, my daughter and her husband, about what they want for a knob. So I'll have to check with them on that. Maybe go pick that stuff up. I think what we'll do, probably end this video once this frame is all assembled. And end this video here because it's going to get long just like the last one was, and I apologize for that. I know that most people only like 15 or 20 minute videos. So the next one will be we'll be hanging the door in the jamb and then making the casing. Now the casing obviously won't be applied until the door's hung, but we'll make it all and have that, and then possibly even, which will be nothing, that'll be a simple procedure, and then possibly even putting the finish on it, which, as I mentioned before, is just going to be a clear polyurethane, nothing fancy, because this wood darkens up dramatically when you apply poly to it. And so yeah. Okay, so there is our frame, our jamb assembly, I guess I should say, not a frame. And I'm just centering the door here. Looks pretty good. There we go, just like that. And that is it. So that thing is put together now. Like I say, I got to take it apart. I have to cut these horns off on both sides, and then apply some glue to this joint for the heck of it. Sorry. Yeah, so that's it. So it looks pretty good. It's looking really nice. I think it's going to come out well. And then these jambs will be trimmed. I think I'm going to end up with about 5/8 of an inch from the bottom of the door to the floor. So, and you got to have some clearance in case you have a rug on one side of it or whatever. So yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I thought of, I may, because now I think it doesn't really matter, I may scribe the top of this door to match this jamb piece. I may just scribe it and just take a little off the corners of these this door, because it won't matter. That the arch is going to fit. The arch is going to fit the opening, so it really won't matter. We can do whatever we want with this door now. The casing will cover any discrepancy between the radius of the archway in the house and this radius, but according to the template that I had, it shouldn't be far off. So yeah, so we can just scribe this door and make it fit perfectly. And it really is only a matter of, I'm not kidding you, taking maybe 1/8 of an inch off on each corner of that door, and it'll match perfectly. So I think next step is hinges and knob set, and get ready for that stuff, and we'll go from there.